Hello, hello, and welcome. You're listening to Light Sprinkles, and I am Spring Ulrich, and it is my intention to bring you inspiration, healing tips, and tools to be able to transform your life and spring forward. So, today, my topic is all about pleasure charms, and we'll get into what that means and some really exciting and juicy parts about all things pleasure and pleasure charms. And before we do that, I just want to talk to you about how easy it can be sometimes. Have you ever felt like you were having lots of expectations on your time and feeling a very frenetic type of energy, very hurried, very rushed, and feeling out of control in your day, and feeling like the to-do list is super long and there's hardly a moment to catch your breath? Hardly a moment to really just be in your day and really enjoy your moments as you're going through and ticking off those tasks on your list. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever felt that feeling of just sheer overwhelm and so many pulls and demands on your time that it's super easy to forget about all those little pleasures and those joys on your heart and those things that are calling for pleasure within you and around you and about you? So that is what I am wanting to speak on today, is can how can you create more of that time, more of that enjoyment and pleasure throughout your day, even in the midst of all of the to-dos lists, all of the things that are calling upon your attention, demanding your time, demanding you to show up and be brilliant and be amazing and to give and to give and to do and to do. And have you felt that calling, that nudge upon yourself and that desire that you just want to be sometimes rather than be doing all the time? Now, I really want to encourage you to get into the business of being. And that's really one of the foundations of what I'm doing here with these videos and this podcast, is to assist you in all the ways that I am doing for myself, even the things I have found that have assisted me to get more into my beingness and to continue that. Because what I know is that it really takes a conscious effort to an awareness. And that doesn't necessarily have to be hard, just a focus and an intention and a clarity to remember to bring those parts into your day, bring those parts of yourself to the forefront. So I really want to encourage you with the topic here of pleasure charms. So whether you have gone through grief, whether you are in grief or somehow feeling depressed or feeling anxiety or just a frenetic energy, feeling rushed, feeling hurried in your life, whatever that is, and if you feel like you really want to have more joy, walk with me here on some of these topics here with the pleasure charms. So today I had a really amazing experience. I chose, even though I had things on my list to do after my jog, to go and get into the river, because I live next to the river, and just immerse myself. And I had told my children, hey, I'm going to go in the river. I'm going to be out there. So I went and I sat in the river and just floated around and just sat in the cold river and just enjoyed and just got quiet and did some visualization and some meditation in the water and just enjoyed the beauty of nature all around me and really got into the flow and one with the water and one with the nature. And my son came over and my daughter, because I'd been in there for a little while, and they came to join me, which was wonderful. And she had her little life jacket on. She came down into the water and she said, Mommy, Mommy, she said, look at my pleasure charm. And she held out her hand and she had a little rock in it. And she's my little rock collector and she loves collecting rocks. And she loves collecting all kinds of things, really. She's my little collector. And I lit up when she the way she said pleasure charm was so sweet and so brilliant, and it lit me up too. When she said that, it was like, aha, yes, pleasure charms, just bringing that more into my day. I love the way it sounds. I feel like it's so magical. And so here's what I did. I looked up the words and sat with it and really got some clarity on how I could utilize this pleasure charm concept that was brought to me by my sweet daughter, who's 4.5 years old, and to be able to bring that here to you today, that it's through pleasure. So I looked up the word pleasure, and really it's the source of delight or joy. So what things bring you pleasure and delight? What is really just delicious on all levels for you? And I really encourage you to get into your playfulness and be open to experiencing and perhaps even journaling on some of these topics here for yourself, to really discover and remember and recall, especially during your times of chaos, to be able to take some of these things out and utilize it and bring it into your day in any little small way that can increase your delight, increase your pleasure. And I also looked up the word charm. And charm is actually really amazing. It has this magical quality to it. Right? When we think of a charm, it's, sometimes you think of a little bracelet on your wrist or some kind of an adornment. But really, in the olden times, talismans were objects that were enshrined in mystery and imbued with magical powers. And the charm has the power, the quality of giving delight or arousing admiration. And what delights you greatly? What delights you greatly? That is what a charm does. It delights. And in that, I want to talk about the physical. Number one, I want to go into 3 different areas of what things we could bring into for pleasure charms. Now, I'm not talking about just a physical bracelet or some kind of a necklace or earrings or some kind of an adornment that you put on and makes you feel more beautiful. While that can be really pleasurable as well, I'm talking about going much deeper into the words pleasure and charm and really bringing that first into the physical. So with that, what visually brings you pleasure? What things in your environment, in your space, what things can you take on in your visual realm with your eyes to be those pleasure charms? When you look at them, that instantly you get that pleasure, that sense, that feeling of delight and joy that fully envelops you. What things do you look at? For me, I look at the river. I look at the sky. I've always been a sky watcher. I love, love, love the ocean. And since I wasn't able to live near the ocean for most of my life, I looked at the sky. I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah growing up, and I would always look at the sky. And we had incredible skies, incredible clouds, beautiful, gorgeous mountains all around. And I was a sky watcher. And I would just look at the sky all the time. And that was such a wonderful, joyous, delightful pleasure for me. So what is it that you look at that really instantly brings you joy? Is it the flowers in your garden? Is it the smile upon your beautiful child's face? Is it an amazing photograph that you love? What is it that you look at? Is it your puppy dog wagging of their tail? What is it that you actually use your eyes for to really be a pleasure charm? And the other thing would be taste, right? That can be so physical and so wonderful. What pleasures do we give ourselves that when we're conscious are really delicious and enjoyable, that we really get present and we can take those little things into our day and really enjoy them. Just the feeling as it touches our tongue, the temperature of whatever it is, if we're drinking some hot cocoa or coffee or tea, or the water against our lips if it's nice and cool and refreshing, or if it's lemon water and it tantalizes our tongue or perks up our cheeks or makes you salivate if it's a sour or if it's a salty or sweet, really to be able to be with that and delight in the taste and the pleasures upon your tongue, that can be such an amazing and enjoyable experience, especially when you can just be in that. So I'm wanting to give you these little ideas to where you can bring them into your day and dance with them in all the little ways you can to be able to fit them in to your already busy life and your already busy schedule. That if you can take time in that moment of eating and really allowing yourself that pleasure charm to say, this is my pleasure charm for this meal during this day. I'm going to allow myself to have this amazing, delicious coffee, and I'm going to just enjoy it so fully, more fully than I have been allowing myself to enjoy, right? A lot of times there has been talk about this ceiling, this cap upon our pleasure and a cap upon how good can we stand it. So I want you to just try to blow the lid off of that ceiling to see how much more joy you can allow to come in, to take the lid off and say, I'm going to like open your hands, open your heart, and I'm going to allow myself to receive. I'm going to allow myself to have pleasure in my day, even if it's busy, even if my kids are screaming and yelling, or if there's messes that I need to take care of, and homeschooling or teaching my children or errands to run. I'm going to allow myself this 5-minute break, this 5 minute of just really enjoying this pleasure upon my tongue or the visual sight. And the other sense is smell. How can do you love really wonderful smells? Do you love to light a candle and set the tone? Does that increase and feel delicious to you? Does that increase your vibration and your energy? Does that give you more energetic, just joyfulness? If you have a yummy candle or if you put yummy lotions on you, just delight in that yummy charm to be able to feel the sensation upon your skin as you're adorning yourself after your shower, to really allow yourself that time to just a few minutes of pleasuring yourself by placing lotion all over your body, just feeling yourself and allowing your body that physical touch and sensation with the beautiful, wonderful smells. Or is it that you can do a mist of spray that smells really good and that makes you just feel alive and give you that pep? Or essential oils. What is it that you can smell? Or is it that you can open your window when it rains and smell the petrichor, that smell of rain, that just juicy freshness? Or is it a little puppy, if you have access to a puppy, the smell of puppy breath, which I really do love puppy breath. Some of you might not like that, but I like puppy breath. So what is it that you love with smells? Is it fresh baked cookies? Is it the smells when you are cooking something in the kitchen? Is it smelling the flowers if you have flowers in your garden? Can you take a moment as you're walking by, bringing your groceries in or going in and out? Can you take a moment just to take a sweet smell of your flowers? What pleasure charms can you find within the smell element? What about hearing? What about our ears? How are we allowing ourselves to have the pleasure upon our ears, to have that pleasure charm? How often are you allowing yourself to turn on that music that you love, or to have sounds going that really fulfill you rather than drain you? Are there sounds in your environment that are creating more stress that maybe you can somehow dampen or eliminate or take care of? I know that sometimes I get into sound overwhelm, and I let my kids know when that happens. We even have some earphone mufflers that I've used and the kids have used. We happen to have gotten them at a monster truck show one time for the kids when they were really little, and for ourselves we had bought these mufflers that were just really great for muffling the sound, and you can kind of still hear through them, but it definitely dampens and takes out some of the sound. So sometimes that might be necessary if you're in sound overwhelm. So sometimes I might put that on to allow myself to have a little more peace and quiet when I can't control my outer environment. With kids, sometimes that's a little bit challenging to be able to get the sound. And also, since I live in a home where we have lots of fish tanks, and sometimes they can get a little bit loud because sometimes the airflow in the tank sometimes can get a little bit, it can get a little obnoxious and a little more loud if we haven't filled up the water, or if there's some kind of an issue going on with the tank. So if my husband hasn't been right on top of the tank maintenance, and I've already had a bit of a more loud day, and I'm just in the moment where I'm really feeling tired, then I might get into that sound overwhelm, and so I might just dampen my ears and allow myself to have a bit of quiet. So sometimes you might want to turn the volume up and really pump that music, or put on that soft calming music, or whatever feels great. Or sometimes you might need to dampen the sound to allow yourself that sound pleasure and get into that really juicy pleasure charm in the sound element. So, and that leads me to the emotional. So we talked about the physical, all of our five senses, and now I want to talk to you about what pleasure charms can you find on an emotional level. Now, when I feel like I talk about emotions, it's challenging not to talk about emotions without talking about also thoughts, because I feel like they're so intertwined and related, and that the third area of really embarking upon the pleasure charm experience is the mental. And I feel like they really do go hand in hand, and they're so interweaved. And with what kind of a feeling are you experiencing, and allowing, how much more feeling can you experience? And what we know is the thoughts we think turn into feelings. The stories we tell, the stories we weave, the experiences that run over and over and over in our mind set us up to have feelings and emotional reactions to them. And so what thoughts are we bringing in? What thoughts are you bringing in to really facilitate and to feed and to bring in more of those pleasure charms? And on the emotional level, how can you blow again that lid off and say, I'm going to allow myself to feel. I'm going to allow myself to feel, even if it's hard, even if I am in depression, even if I am feeling really sad or really upset or really angry. I'm going to allow myself to feel these feelings and not stuff them down, but allow them to come up, and do so in a way that is giving that emotion the space to move, and giving it the ability to do so in a healthy way that serves both me and others, and in my best and highest good. So if there's any fear of, oh, I've got anger and that's not okay to feel that, or I'm feeling rageful and I'm afraid that I might blow up at my kids, or it might come out in a really ugly way. Here's the deal. If you keep pressing them down and always suppress them, then that's when it goes and sideswipes and can come out in a really volcanic eruption that is not, you're responding rather than reacting. So when we can give ourselves space in the emotion, and do so with in some of my other videos, I've talked about doing the fire burning journal exercise, writing out the fire energy, the anger, whatever is coming up, and really all those deep, dark stuff, and then crumpling it up and burning it. There are lots of ways to be able to express and to really feel and be with, and kind of take it back and look at the emotion, feel it, but kind of do it with an observation way, especially if you're busy in your day and you've got some stuff coming up, but you're trying to get things done, and you don't feel like you have the space and time in that moment to really be with that emotion and fully give it presence. You can say, hey, I recognize I'm feeling frustrated. I recognize I'm feeling some anger, and kind of just get curious about it and say, okay, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling so anger? What is this really about? Maybe I need to take a break. Maybe I'm not allowing myself enough pleasure charms to fill me up and to fuel me and to give me more energy to get through my day. So I invite you to take a look at that and see how you can give your emotions some more permission to be and to recognize them and to look at them in a way that says, hey, I'm listening, I'm getting the messages, and I choose to be in response rather than react. And I know that's not easy. I know really fully, and I know from experience, it's not an easy thing to do. And in one of my other videos, I talk about my GQP Ball at Life process. And that is a whole nother video and podcast in of itself, which is a really powerful tool to be able to utilize to, when you're having a negative experience, to be able to lean back, choose love, and problem solve from there. So yeah, I really invite you to take a look at that video, to be able to get quiet, pause, breathe, ask love, listen, allow, trust, and let go. Imagine and intend the best and highest outcome. Free yourself, forgive, and then examine the possibilities. So I really invite you to dive deep into the GQP Ball at Life process and all that that entails to assist you in really getting really present and able to come from the experience of response rather than react. And I've been utilizing it in my own life, and it's really working, and it's allowing me to shift some dynamics within my own life of getting louder rather than asking for things in a calm way. I'm getting better at that and allowing myself to respond to my children and in all things in my life that come up that are triggers or negative experiences, and being able to look at them and problem solve from a much more loving space. And I'm feeling a lot more clear and a lot more clarity within problems that arise and come up throughout the day. So I invite you to take a look at that other video and podcast, and to look at the emotional, like where can we lift that lid on the emotional, holding that under the surface and giving that emotion a space and a place to be able to move and to ask what the emotion is trying to show you or gift to you, and what the experience is really about. So say if it's depression, what is creating the depression in the first place? Is it a loss? Is it a thought you keep telling yourself? Is it a story that keeps replaying of some kind of a hurt or betrayal that continues to just run and run and run? Or is it a thought that you tell yourself that perhaps might not be true, about not being good enough, or, all fill in the blank. There's all kinds of negative thoughts that we can tell ourselves all day. So the best thing to do is to give yourself those pleasure charms of the great thoughts. So, and the third, the mental, absolutely, the thoughts that we think create our feelings, and then we experience from there. And I just want to share with you some of the juiciness that I've been really, the charms I carry on my heart, the charms that I love to embrace and remind myself to tell myself, so that I can really harness more pleasure and the charms, the mental pleasure charms that are fulfilling and rewarding for me. So some of them could be, and absolutely feel free to take these on for yourself if they fit and feel good, or take them as ideas to inspire you for creating your own charms. And it certainly doesn't have to be to just this list. You can write as many positive thoughts as you feel called to do. Some of mine are that I am enough, that I can do this, that I'm capable of so much more than I am allowing, that I'm capable of joy and happiness and creativity and amazing ideas, intuition, health, and abundance of all is mine. I have all I need to achieve my dreams, to fly beyond them, and to bring even bigger dreams to the surface and manifest. I can allow my dreams to surface and to be clear. Where I allow clarity to replace fear. So I allow clarity to replace fear. So what are your pleasure charms, my friends? Would love you to take this question, journal on it, write yourself a note or a list of things, just let them flow, and ask yourself, what are my pleasure charms? What things really light me up? And are you willing to intrude or envelop yourself completely with the pleasure charm? Are you willing to absolutely take it into every cell, into every part of your being, to allow yourself to really enjoy the juiciness of that pleasure? Because I find that when I am getting really busy into my business world and all of the doingness that is that I get to do, from my shopping to the laundry to the dishes and to just all the wonderful tasks as well, like reading to my children and homeschooling with them, and taking them to events or chauffeuring them from place to place, that in this long list of to do, from all the business calls and requests and emails and all the list goes on, right? And all the coaching and the mentoring that I'm doing myself, and filling myself up with wonderful mental juiciness that I'm setting myself up with, all of the things that I'm doing to have my miracle mornings and my routines that really set me up to win my day, to facilitate me in moving forward in my life really powerfully. When I'm going through all of these lists of things to do, I feel it's really easy to forget to bring in that pleasure, to give that space too. Because it's really easy, especially being a businesswoman and a mom and a wife and all of the callings, from gardening to taking care of my animals and my children and my home, and all of the life experiences that are so wonderful and juicy, and that are absolutely, I want to get them done, and it can feel like a lot to get done, to take care of all the cleaning and just all of it, right? It can feel like a lot. And when I get into that overwhelm feeling, into that feeling of wow, how am I going to do all of this? And feeling that it's not very much fun, and that I'm not really enjoying myself as much, it's because I haven't allowed myself as much pleasure. I haven't allowed myself to experience my pleasure charms, and I'm forgetting to bring those in and give those time and space. And really, that's where the juiciness of life comes in, and that's what lights us up and turns us on and lights our fire, our internal fire, and brings us such energy and vitality. And when I can remember to do that and play throughout my day, wow, I'm so much more powerful. I'm so much more at ease. I'm more relaxed, and I'm having a whole lot more fun, and I'm able to get a whole lot more done because I'm more connected. I'm in more alignment, and I'm enjoying myself. And when we're in pleasure, we're so much more vibrant and alive and youthful and joyful and just filled up with that love for ourselves. We're loving ourselves enough to experience the pleasure and to really be in the pleasure. And so I really invite you to be with that and see if that word pleasure charms really lights you up like it does me. And ask yourself, am I willing to imbue, to permeate with the feeling or the quality, to saturate myself, to feel and to fill myself up, to become soaked in pleasure, to become just absolutely drenched in pleasure? And imagine, I was thinking about this today, imagine if I allowed myself as much pleasure as I'm doing the opposite of, which is in being in the beingness of doing. I'm in the doingness. If we allowed ourselves that much beingness and that much saturation into our pleasure, wow, what kind of an experience would that be? What kind of a day would that be if we just allowed ourselves that juicy pleasure? That juicy pleasure. In my family, we do we schedule some time to have a yes day with my kids. And the last time we did a yes day, and what is a yes day? A yes day is a day where we say, okay, here we are. We're, when you ask for something, it's a yes. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen to the best of our abilities. We might have some parameters on the yes day, like, okay, it's not going to include just gaming all day long, or it's not going to include the technology. Sometimes it does. It just depends on what the parameter is. Like, okay, we're going to do this. Last time we did I couldn't call it pleasure day because it is a pleasure day, a yes day. Last time we did a yes day, we said, okay, it's going to be a yes day, but it's not just going to be for the kids. It's going to be for mom and dad too. So we're all going to get yeses. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to take the day and we're going to, and this was really exciting. We all got excited. We all got into it. And I said, okay, everyone's going to get what they want. So I want you to tell me 3 things you really, really want to do today. And then each person got to go in our family, and we're a family of 5. So each person got to go and we got to say the 3 things we really, really wanted to do in that day. And so we wrote it all down. This was in the morning. We began, we said, okay, guys, we're going to do a yes day, but here's the deal. We all get to have yeses, even mom and dad. So here's what I would like. Here's what each person got to go through their list of 3 things. And then after we went through the list of 3 things, we worked through figuring out how to organize the day and who got to go first and what kind of a time frame we were going to do. So we set a time limit. We set a time parameter that, hey, we're going to give it an hour and a half to 2 hours for each person's experience and their yes. And then we went forward and moved from there. So it was really a wonderful and powerful experience. And it was also a little bit of a challenge to try to get everyone's in. And we didn't get through everybody's all 3, but everyone got at least 1. And so that can be taken and carried over to the next time or the next day, into the next time we have a yes day. And the kids always love, and we love it too, because it's such, it sets the tone for fun and enjoyment and just being together. And the kids really get excited. So, we still went forward and we still moved with the children in doing their chores and their list of things that they get to do for the day. It's like, okay, let's get through, make sure our animals are fed and just our beds made, teeth brush, hair comb, all that kind of stuff. And then let's move forward into all of our yeses that we really want to do or achieve. So maybe you might want to try something like that on with your family, is taking on maybe once a month where you say, hey, we're going to have a yes day, and that everybody gets to have a yes. So, and that really is a wonderful tip and tool for you parents out there to be able to say it's a yes day, and it's also a yes for me. So if I'm saying, hey, I'd prefer you not to continue doing that action, remember I'm saying yes to you. So let's remember that I get to have my yeses too. So that can shift the dynamic really quickly, especially if you're saying yes to them and a behavior comes up that you don't want to see or that you're wanting to shift, to be able to say, hey, I prefer that you stop doing that. And if they don't do it for the first time, it's, hey, remember, this is a yes day and I'm giving you a whole lot of yeses and I get to have some yeses too. So remembering to give yourself yeses, giving other people yeses, and giving yourself the pleasure and the pleasure charms. What are you adorning on your heart? What pleasure charms are you placing on your mind, on your heart, on your soul, on your spirit, on your life throughout the day in little ways, whether it's through all of your 5 senses or the thoughts and the love that you're telling yourself and speaking into your life. What is it that you are telling yourself, and what stories can you reframe and tell yourself about a situation that happened that will ease the situation or look at it from a different perspective? And how can you take that challenge and ask, where is the gift in this challenge and how is it assisting me to grow in my challenge? How am I growing in this challenge? What opportunity is within this challenge? Now, it's definitely not easy to do this. It definitely takes the awareness and the thought process of what, because when you're in the middle of the yuck and the mug, it is not easy to stop the emotion of I'm irritated, I'm feeling betrayed, or how could they have done this to me? Emotion, and shifting it to, hey, what's the opportunity here? That is certainly not an easy task to do. And if you can get to that frame of mind and just say, okay, why is this challenge up for me? And what can I, how is it allowing me to grow? What opportunities is it creating for growth? And how can I utilize it for growth? If you can remember to ask yourself that question, then perhaps you can receive even more joy and pleasure, and remind yourself, what pleasure charms am I adorning my heart with, my mind, and my experience, and in my life, through my day, through my daily tasks. What am I doing? How am I doing my life? How am I experiencing all of it? And how do you want to do it? Do you want to do it in a delightful, juicy, and joyous way, where you're full of vital essence and life? Because I really believe that it comes from our pleasure. That pleasure fills our cup up, so we have more to give, and we have more energy to continue to be powerful and to complete all of the things that we want to complete in our lives. So what charms am I wearing on my heart today? Take that into your day and ask, even journal on it, do whatever you can, a walking meditation with that on your mind. What am I allowing myself to adorn my heart with? What pleasure charms am I going to allow myself to experience today? What are your favorite, most juiciest things? For me, it's nature. I love being in nature. I love my children. I love seeing their beautiful faces. And what I know is having that one-on-one time with nature and just being out in nature, that really fills my cup up. I love the beauty. I love the sounds. I love the smells. I love the feeling of my feet upon the earth. I just love being in nature. So that's really an easy way for me to go out and play outside and get into some pleasure charm, and to be able to speak those affirmations, those positive thoughts to myself, to create the better feelings and to maintain that higher vibration, and to allow myself to receive more pleasure. And so here's another powerful question before we end our time today, and that is, where am I not allowing pleasure? Where are you holding back pleasure? Where are you holding back that pleasure in your life? Where am I not allowing myself to experience pleasure? And how can you allow more pleasure into your life? And in what ways are you committed to? What ways are you going to take on throughout your day, in little ways that don't take extra time, but that you can do throughout your day? Just getting really present and acknowledging, or even if it is something that you haven't allowed yourself. For me, I'm going to answer this question right now. What have I not allowed myself? I haven't allowed myself the time to give myself a pedicure, because here in the experience of the coronavirus and the lockdown, I haven't been able to go get my pedicure. And while I've only done my toenails once and cleaned them up and got them all nice and took off all the nail polish that was barely there, I haven't allowed myself, and it's been something I've been wanting to do for a little bit. I even went to the store and I bought myself a couple of tubs so I could do a little spa day with my daughter, and I just haven't taken the opportunity and the time, because I felt really busy, to sit down, soak our feet, and really put some oils on and do our toenails and push back the cuticles. So that's something that I'm going to do tomorrow, because it's getting late here right now. And it's getting to be my bedtime, actually 15 minutes past. So tomorrow I'm committed to allowing myself that pleasure with my daughter and myself, to do my toenails, to give myself that pampering that I love and that makes me feel good, because I love, love, love to have my feet rubbed. So I'm going to do it myself and do it for my daughter and my boys if they join in. So I'm really deserving that pleasurable foot soak and massage and pedicure. So what can you do for yourself today or tomorrow or throughout your day to be able to experience and allow more joy and delight and pleasure charms? So definitely take it with the brain, the heart, and the physical, so that you're bringing in the whole being and you're allowing yourself to experience pleasure on all realms, because our mind, our bodies, and our hearts, they're all entwined, and all of it wants to be experienced. All of us wants to show up, be present, and enjoy. Life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be easy. Life is a delight. And so how much more delight can you say yes to? Thank you for joining me, friends, and I hope that this has served you and inspired you, or giving you some tips and tools, or some thoughtful contemplations to take within and find some really wonderful nuggets for yourself to grow and spring forward in your life and in your way of being, and stepping forward into your most amazing self. Thanks again for joining me. Much, much love and light to you. And we'll have a conversation the next time on Light Sprinkles. And you can find me on YouTube at Light Sprinkles, as well as on podcast. Thanks again. Much love and light. Bye for now.